In May, at the St. Luke's Hospital, in conjunction with the Psycho-Oncology Unit and a nonprofit organization, we will be holding an intensive Lojong workshop for doctors and for other healthcare professionals. Lojong is a Tibetan word. Lo means mind, Jong means to study, to practice, and eventually accomplish a pure, good, happy mind. So basically this comes down to love, compassion, altruism. Now I will be beginning, we will have 2 levels, each going for 3 days, 3 full days. And I will begin by teaching the science behind meditation and compassion. I'll present a little bit of the research into meditation, some of the research into the medical benefits for treatment using compassion, and thirdly, the benefit research into the benefits of compassion itself. I'm a medical doctor. I've trained and did a residency and am board certified in family medicine. I worked in the academic world for a while as an assistant professor at the University of Washington in Seattle, Washington. I've also worked in private practice doing clinical medicine. I'm also ordained as a fully ordained monk, a bhikshu, and in that capacity have done meditation retreats for over 30 years. That includes a 3-year retreat, a 1-year retreat, and many several-month retreats. Then I'll teach about meditation. Everybody has heard the word meditation, but nobody knows what it means. So I'll talk about what is the meaning, what is meditation. And in that context, I'll talk about the different categories of meditation and the different types of meditation. And then I'll teach about compassion, and I'll start by defining compassion. What is compassion? What is altruism? And from there, since compassion is involved with the alleviation of suffering, then I'll talk about and teach about what is suffering and what are the different levels of suffering. Following that, I will teach about empathy. Empathy is a way to open our hearts as people, as healthcare professionals, to have more concern for others and for particularly our patients, our clients. And so I'll talk about empathy, and then I'll teach what are the limitations of empathy and how empathy can lead to burnout. And then I'll teach about how do we go beyond empathy to compassion, to altruism. And in that context, I will be talking about direct and indirect methods for cultivating compassion. From there, I will move on to what I like to call emotional hygiene, which I kind of use that terminology from the world of public health and apply it to our emotions. How do we clean up some of our destructive negative emotions like anger, jealousy, pride? And then I'll teach a number of different kinds of meditations, both for the healthcare practitioners to use in their own lives and also to teach their receptive patients. And then that really finishes our first level, the first 3 days. And then we go to level 2, where we go into more depth. And we'll start by talking about wisdom. And this is something that the quantum physicists have been investigating maybe for 100 years. What's the nature of reality? Primarily, the quantum physicists look at the physical reality, and we will look primarily at the mental or consciousness reality, and also the question, who are we on a deeper level? The quantum physicists in their relativistic, probabilistic world cannot find any objective reality. That's a very similar understanding from the Buddhist perspective. So in that context of wisdom, I will provide some analogies, particularly one of an illusionist who creates images of elephants, horses, women. Secondly, I will talk about examples of illusion from our ordinary life. Dream, mirage, reflection. And then I'll talk about this gap, the gap between appearance and reality. So I like to say, mind the gap between appearance and reality. Then I will emphasize the fact that this Buddhist wisdom, sometimes called emptiness, is not nothingness. From there, I'll move into a more subtle understanding of the body and the mind. We'll talk about the subtle body, which involves channels, chakras, and the essence which runs inside. And then I'll talk about the embryology of the channel and chakra systems. Following that, I'll talk about subtle consciousness. There are a few last elements that I'll teach in level 2. One is the death process. We'll look at the death process from the perspective of ancient Indian thought and see how it involves 8 stages and see how it is more encompassing than clinical death from a modern medical perspective of cessation of heartbeat, respiration, and possibly brain death defined by flat-lying EEG. I'll then talk about and teach about the nature of the mind. What is the mind? We'll talk about definitions. And then I'll talk about enhancing the doctor-patient relationship, because this is crucial for all of us, physicians and other health professionals, to improve our relationship with the patient and the patient's family. I'll talk about honesty and integrity, teaching about transparency and lack of hypocrisy. I'll teach about respect and trust. I'll teach about compassion, altruism, and caring. And lastly, the doctor-patient relationship. And then I'll expand this to compassionate relationships with respect to not only to our patients, but in our personal lives and also in our professional lives. Now, I teach in a very interactive way. Of course, there'll be time when I'm talking and lecturing, but there'll be a lot of time for discussions, discussion groups. We'll have plenty of time for question and answers, and we'll have plenty of time for doing practical work. We'll meditate together. There'll be quite a number of, there'll be a variety of different meditations that I'll teach and then that we'll actually do together. So this will be a very interactive program. Now this will be a joint program between the Human Values Institute, I am the founder and the chairman, and the psycho-oncology unit of St. Luke's Hospital, and particularly their NPO, which will be co-hosting this with Human Values Institute. So I would like to invite all of you that have some interest to take the time and join us in May at St. Luke's Hospital for this unique program for doctors and health professionals. Thank you. Arigatou gozaimashita.